everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name's Amanda, and today I'm going to be making some gluten-free breakfast burritos so that way I can freeze them up to have for other mornings. And I'm also going to go ahead and make a gluten-free hash brown breakfast casserole. My family has really been loving all these things that I've been making for breakfast in the morning. And the nice thing about these recipes that I've been sharing, I have been freezing as well. And it just has been making my mornings run so smoothly with just pulling them out the night before or pulling them out that morning and just zapping them in the microwave. My family has been really loving everything that I've been making. You can watch some of the videos that I have posted last week and this week. So check them out because there's a lot of great recipes that I've been posting. I'm going to start first by browning up some pork sausage that I got from Aldi's. I love getting it there. It's a great price. It's 1 pound, and also it's gluten-free. I love when they have their stuff labeled as gluten-free. So we're going to go ahead and cook this up because I want to go ahead and get some of the stuff done that's going to go in both of the recipes that I'm going to be making. Now I'm going to go ahead and spray my pan with some nonstick spray. I like to get this one from Aldi's, and this is the Carlini Original Canola Oil Spray. And this one does not say that it's gluten-free on the back, but the ingredients, I Googled it, I looked it up, it says that it is gluten-free, and I have not had any issues with this one at all. So I have been getting this one there, and I paid $2.49 for this, and I've not had any issues. But again, do your research on products. You know, you have to be aware of your diet and what you can and cannot have. So be your best advocate of what you can eat. So I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze out all the pork sausage meat and put it onto my pan, and we're going to go ahead and brown it up. I love getting the pork sausage for making casseroles or breakfast burritos, or even just making it as a side and having it with scrambled eggs. It's so tasty. I love this. It really gives me options for breakfast in the morning for my family. And I really love to cook breakfast on the weekend. So this is always nice to have in the freezer and just pull it out the night before and put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw if I'm going to use it the next day. The meat is still browning up, so I'm just going to go ahead and start getting some stuff that I need, like my bag of eggshells, because I love to freeze my eggshells and then bake them in my oven so that way I can put them into my garden. It really helps when I just freeze them because then I can, throw them in the oven when I'm actually making baked goods. But I do this so that way I do it all at one time instead of like small individual amounts of baking my eggshells. It just really helps, saves time that way. So my meat is still browning and I have it on the medium heat. And just cooking it up, you want to make sure that there's no more pink. And then once we are completely done cooking that, we can just set that in a bowl. I'm also going to go ahead and start getting my eggs ready. So first I'm going to make my burritos because I'm going to use some of this meat in my burritos, but I'm also going to use some of the meat in my casserole too. I want to have breakfast ready and easy to share with my youngest because whatever I eat, my youngest one, he's going to eat too. And so I'm really trying to find some stuff that he'll eat with me because he's one of my picky eaters. He loves chicken and he loves steak, but other than that, he's my picky eater. So just trying to find some stuff that he will eat with me. And being gluten-free also makes it really hard because whatever I eat, that's what, he'll eat with me. And so there's other stuff that he won't eat. And I can't eat stuff that has gluten in it. So when he sees that I don't want it, he doesn't want it. It's really challenging. So I want to try these breakfast burritos that are gluten-free so he'll eat them with me. So I am cracking 12 eggs to use for the breakfast burritos. I will put a link in the description box down below of how I bake my eggshells in my oven for my garden. But freezing them does really help me out. The meat is still cooking up, so I'm just going to check on it here and there. And I'm also going to go ahead and whisk the eggs in the measuring cup so those are prepped and ready for the burritos. It helps out when you can kind of work on one thing, but also get other stuff going as well that you need to for when you're, multitasking and making more than one recipe. And I have a small kitchen, so I really have to think about how I do this all. But in the end, it does work out great. And it's nice when I can get a good amount of stuff done in my kitchen and have some meals prepped and ready for my family. It may seem like I'm in my kitchen a lot, but then you think about how many meals do you have a day? How many family members are you feeding? And this helps so that way I can be like, okay, I've got breakfast done. I don't have to make a huge mess for breakfast today. And especially for the weekdays with school, it does help. I went out to the garage to the other refrigerator to grab some more eggs and some cheese. And I like to get this cheese from Costco. I get it in a 2-pack. And we go through cheese quite a bit because the kids love tacos, they love quesadillas. A lot of the recipes I use call for cheese, and my youngest even loves to just snack on it. So we go through cheese quite a bit and eggs as well. I'm still working on browning up the pork sausage and just grabbing the stuff that I really need to use. And I have some cheese in the refrigerator. There's not much left in it, but I want to use that up first. The pork sausage is finally cooked, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove off. I'm going to grab a bowl and I'm going to get a slotted spoon so I can scoop it out and put it into the bowl. And then I'm going to grab a glass jar. I like to save glass jars so when I cook bacon or stuff like this and there's a lot of grease, fat left over, then I can just drain it and put it into the jar and put a top on it and put it into the trash. Right now, I'm just grabbing out the eggs that I'm going to use for the casserole, and I'm grabbing out 12 eggs for that. I need some more counter space, so I'm just going to grab those and then put the eggs away, and that will create a little bit more space for me. I wasn't going to add onions to my burritos, but I was like, man, I really love sauteed onions and sauteed peppers. And I thought, you know what? I have not had a breakfast burrito in a very long time since I'm gluten-free. And so, you know what? I have these large, beautiful onions I need to cut up that I got from Costco. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and dice them all up. And that way then I can freeze a nice large amount of it. It saves time in the kitchen by doing this. And then I can also get some to put on the stove and saute some up for adding into the burritos. Now for the breakfast casserole, I am not adding onions or peppers into that because I want my kids to eat it. They aren't really big fans of onions and peppers and stuff like that. So the breakfast casserole will not have onions or pepper in it. But you can always add sauteed onions and sauteed peppers into your casserole if that's what you would like as well. But definitely some onions in the burritos because I will be eating the burritos because those are going to be specifically gluten-free for me and my youngest child. I'm praying he'll eat the onions and the peppers. We'll see how that goes. Normally when I cut a large amount of onions up, I like to do some sliced up and some diced up, but I already have some sliced up in my freezer right now. I'm all out of the ones that are diced up, so I'm gonna dice up all 7 of these gigantic onions, and I get a big bag of it for $3.99 at Costco. So every time I go to Costco, I like to grab a bag of those because I like to cook with them a lot. I like to saute them up and add it to some jasmine rice. I like to make this dish that's a Greek red spaghetti dish, and I can link that in the description box down below. I like sauteing up the onions for pasta sauce. I mean, there's so many recipes you can use onions in, so I really like to prep them and freeze them. It makes it so much smoother in the kitchen for me. And right now we're gonna go ahead and turn the pan onto medium, and I'm gonna add some extra virgin olive oil and then throw some onions on top and start sauteing them up. I'm not using a lot of onions because I'm only going to put them in some of the burritos. Now, if you want onions and peppers as well in your burritos, you can do that too. The fun thing about these is you can really personalize them to your liking. I mean, you could add sausage, bacon, pineapples, tomatoes. You could just get really fun and creative with it, with what you want to add into your breakfast burrito and even your breakfast casserole. So you can get crazy with it and make it to your liking. I am writing the date on the Ziploc bag for the onions. That way I know, when I put them in the freezer, but also sometimes you never know if you accidentally lost a bag in the freezer because it can happen. But I definitely like to try to rotate my stuff to make sure I do use everything. But onions are good in the freezer for up to a year, but I go through mine fairly fast. Mine normally lasts me for about a month. So that's why I always tend to grab a bag at Costco every time I go. So now I'm just going to keep an eye on the onions on the stove and saute them up and stir them here and there and just continue dicing the rest of the onions that I have on the counter and just put them all in the Ziploc bag. And at least I got this out of the way too. I needed to get this done soon, so I figured, you know what, since I'm going to put some onions in some of my burritos, might as well just go ahead and dice all these up. My onions are still sauteing up, so I can continue cutting more of the onions up. I'm adding just a little bit more olive oil to it. I think I've added a total of 1 tablespoon amount worth of olive oil. Now, I'm not a professional chef, but I enjoy cooking for my family. And so I don't have a really unique way of cutting onions like some people do, but at least I'm cutting it and it gets it done and it works. So this does really help a lot by getting these cut done all at once. And if I am wearing my glasses, I cry like a big baby. So when I wear my contacts, that's the time when I really want to cut onions up because I'm not crying, because for some reason when I wear my contacts, I don't have that issue and I can just cut a whole bunch of onions and be perfectly fine. So definitely utilizing my time now while I'm in the kitchen and getting these done and out of the way definitely saves me time for when I am making other meals throughout the week. I like to make a lot of crock pot meals, slow cooked meals. My favorite is using my Ninja Foodie Possible Cooker Pro because there's so many different functions on it, but I love that I can just saute right in it and then turn it to the slow option and it cooks amazing. So I like having these prepped and ready so I can just pull them out and just grab what I need. I don't have to sit there and pull out a cutting board, a knife, and then have extra stuff to wash up. This will be this one-time thing for these onions and it just works so well. The onions are almost done, so now I'm going to pull out some peppers from the freezer. You can saute your onions and your peppers at the same time in the pan. I kind of got carried away with cutting the onions and I didn't pull out the peppers as soon as I needed to get them into the pan with the onions at the same time. So I wanted to just go ahead and saute up the onions that I was going to use for the burritos. So now that the onions are done, I'm going to go ahead and put the onions into a bowl and then I can use this pan and saute up the peppers in. It's really nice because I'm using the same pan so far that I sauteed up the pork. And now I sauteed up the onions and now I'm going to saute up the peppers. And then later on I'll also make scrambled eggs in the same pan too. That really helps out because I only have one really large pan and I love how big this one is. So this pan works really well when I do, so many eggs at once. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut up my peppers into bite sizes. I always cut my peppers into strips. I never know if I'm going to use them whole for like fajitas or if I'm going to use them into like a pasta sauce or into an omelet, or even for this burrito. So I'm cutting them up into little bite size. I'm using yellow and green peppers for the burritos, and I do have red peppers in my freezer in the kitchen here, but I didn't want to really dig for it because my youngest is sleeping right now and I did not want to wake him up really trying to shuffle for it. So we're just going to use yellow and green. Earlier I pulled those out and put them on top, but I still couldn't find the red ones, so I did not want to make such a loud ruckus sound by like really digging through it to try to find it. I try to keep everything like separated, veggies on one side and fruits on the other. So the freezer in my kitchen, I keep only for like fruits and veggies, and then homemade ice creams on the top part in the kitchen freezer because it's got like this little drawer and they fit perfect right there. And the one out in the garage for the deep freezer, I keep that with just like meats and pizzas, things like that, or like the bigger bulky stuff. I do have some giant bags of frozen strawberries and also some giant bags of frozen figs from the fig trees from the summer. So that's about it what I have for fruits out there because I can't keep all of that in the freezer in the kitchen. And then I have another refrigerator in the garage, and that small freezer is for like my ice cream attachment bowl and for salsas that I make and chicken stock and the turkey stock that I just made and then homemade pasta sauce. So that's all in there. So I really try to like organize where I keep everything located in the freezer since I have 3 of them. It's nice I got my onions cut up. That's done. I love that I got that done and out of the way. Now we can keep working on the peppers and sauteing them up. They are close to being done. The peppers are done, so we're just going to go ahead and put them in the same bowl with the onions. That way it's less for me to clean up at the end. And then I'm going to spray the pan with some nonstick spray. I'm going to spray it nicely, and then we're going to go ahead and cook up the eggs. And again, I used 12 eggs for the burritos. Now the pan's already nice and hot, so I have it on at a low setting. And so I'm going to go ahead and pour all 12 eggs into it. And I like to make my scrambled eggs kind of slow at a low temperature and just kind of monitor it. The peppers and the onions look great. The pork sausage looks great too. So that's all done. So now we're just really going to work on these scrambled eggs. But the pan's really hot. So, I don't think it'll take that long. So I just like to kind of move it in a circular motion like this when I go to make my scrambled eggs. And then I'll set this down and I'll check on it again. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get started on some of the other stuff that we need to for the breakfast casserole. Now I'm getting a fairly large bowl so I can start making the breakfast casserole. The scrambled eggs are still cooking, so I'm going to go ahead and start getting the stuff ready for the breakfast casserole, and I'm using 12 eggs for this. The recipe that I'm using actually only calls for 6 eggs, but I am modifying this recipe to what I want to put in it, but I'm using some of the notes from the recipe, like how long to bake it for, and adding some of the other ingredients into it, but I want to make this a fairly nice size because I have some eggs I really need to use up. So I will link in the description box down below the recipe that I'm kind of basing it off of, but again, I am adding stuff to it that I want to add to it. So I am putting in it what I feel my family would love to eat. Now beat all the eggs together so there's no whole egg yolks. They're nice and scrambled. The scrambled eggs are still cooking, but that's perfectly fine because I'm still able to start continuing to work on the breakfast casserole, so that's perfect. We're going to use some sour cream in the breakfast casserole. We're going to use half a cup of sour cream, and I'm making mine kind of a little bit mounded over because I'm really not going by the recipe. Theirs calls for 6 eggs, but I'm using 12 eggs. But I don't want to double the sour cream part of it. I'm just going to make it a little bit over the half cup. Now add that into the bowl with the eggs. The scrambled eggs are almost done, which is still perfect because I'm still wanting to get that breakfast casserole done and out of the way and into the oven before I start making my gluten-free burritos. So again, this works out great. Now I'm going to add a 4th cup of milk into the bowl. Now I'm starting to keep more of an eye on the scrambled eggs because they're really close to getting done. So I don't want to overcook them. So I just want to keep making sure that, there are parts in there that are getting cooked all the way through. I am adding salt for flavor to this. You can add salt, pepper, herbs, whatever you would like for this breakfast casserole. Again, you can really make it to your liking for what flavors you want to taste in it. So this is always fun making those because you can really just make it however you want to. My eggs are so close to being done. I don't want to burn them. I have it on a low still, which really helped me time out getting this breakfast casserole going. The scrambled eggs are now done, so I'm going to turn the stove off and I'm going to remove the pan from the stove so it doesn't keep cooking. And I'm going to put a trivet on my countertop and put the pan on top of it. So that way I have more counter space. Plus also, I don't want it to keep cooking on the heat because it's just right. Now that the scrambled eggs are done, we can focus on making the breakfast casserole, and we're going to go ahead and mix the sour cream, the milk, and the eggs together. I am adding 2 cups of Mexican cheese. Again, the recipe that I am linking in the description box down below is very different than what I am doing here, but I am making this how I feel will be accommodating to my family's needs and what they like. Add the cheese into the bowl and then give it a good mix. I am adding shredded hash browns that I got from Aldi's, and I'm only adding about a good 2 cups, maybe a little bit over 2 cups. I have Googled this and did some research on it, and when I searched for it, it does specify that it is gluten-free. It doesn't have it labeled that it is gluten-free. I've not had any bad reactions to this. Again, use your best judgment on, products when it comes for ingredients and things like that if you're gluten-free. Now there is Ore-Ida that is gluten-free, but that one's a lot more pricier than this one. So I, again, have not had issues using the Aldi's brand for the shredded hash browns. Whenever I make ham, I love to save some stuff to use into recipes. So I am using a little over a cup of chopped up ham from a nice spiral ham that I made. It worked out perfect. I love doing this. I also love doing this too for when I make pizza. That really helps. I'm using half of the bowl of the pork sausage because I want to use the other half in my breakfast burritos. Now give it a really nice good mix because you want all this to be really nicely blended so that way you get, when you bake it, you get a good bite of everything, not just like all potatoes or all just ham. So mix it nicely. I am using a 9x13 casserole baking dish and spray it down nicely with some nonstick spray. Now we can pour our mixture into the casserole dish. Scrape the inside of the bowl to make sure you get all that good stuff out. Now you're going to want to flatten the top out so when you bake it, it's nice and even. And then we're going to take a good amount of cheese and sprinkle it all over the top. You can add a lot, you can add a little, depends on how much cheese you want to it. I want to say I added about a good cup and a half to the top. It looks delicious. It's going to be amazing. My family's going to love it. It is done. So now we just got to go ahead and put it into the oven. The oven is preheated to 375 degrees. We're going to go ahead and put aluminum foil on the top. And we're going to bake it for 35 minutes covered with the aluminum foil. My timer is set and we can go ahead and start making the burritos. All right, so we're going to make some gluten-free burrito wraps with the Mission wraps. I love this one. I only normally get them if they're on sale, and at Publix they were buy one get one free. So my husband picked me up some and I really love them. They are really nice. So we're going to go ahead and add some cheese, some eggs, some of the onion pepper mixture, and some sausage. Now just roll up your burrito. Now if you add too much stuff, your burritos won't roll nicely, especially being gluten-free. And I'm going to write on it that it's gluten-free and what everything that I put in this one, and also the date. So my husband is home and he has been smelling some amazing food coming from the kitchen. So I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and have some burritos for lunch, and you can make your own and I can make my own, and we can make some for our youngest as well and he'll love it. So he's making his burrito of how he would like, and he's using a wheat burrito wrap, and this one's from Aldi's. I like getting them from there because they're a great price, and my family really loves these wheat flour ones. The texture is nice, they last long, and so yeah, I can't complain. The price is really great at Aldi's. All right, Connor, I'm gonna make you one, okay? Okay, Mom. For my youngest son, I'm using the little small fajita wraps that I get from Aldi's, and these ones have wheat in them. My kids love these ones too, and so I'm just doing a simple eggs, pork sausage, and the cheese, and some ketchup, of course, for him. Now I'm going to put together mine for lunch, and I actually accidentally stuffed it a little bit more than I should have. And when you put too much in these wraps, they tend to not roll very well, and they kind of split and break. But I still ate it. It was really good. It was really tasty. My son loved it, so that was a huge hit. I was really excited about that, and my husband was really happy he got to have some because I was originally just going to make these all gluten-free, but then I was like, okay, it's lunchtime. It smells really good. This way I don't have to make lunch and make more of a mess in the kitchen, so it worked out great. But it was really tasty. I really like these a lot, and I can't wait to try it out, in a morning where I'm like, okay, what do I have? What do I eat? And I can just pull it out and either zap it in the microwave, or I can pan sear it if I want to, or I'll put it in my gourmet oven and really heat it up nicely that way. Lunch was great, and it was a big treat for everyone. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue using the rest of the stuff up for the burritos and continue making gluten-free burrito wraps. I was able to get a total of 6 of them out of it with what we had left over. And so I'm making different combinations with it. So this one here, I have the pork sausage, cheese, and just eggs. This one, I'm making just eggs and cheese. And again, if you're using these as for the gluten-free wraps, for your burritos, don't overstuff it. Hi. You want to give Mommy a hug? Oh, I love you. He needed some mommy time, so I took a break from rolling up the rest of the burrito wraps, and we hung out for a bit. He is playing with some big Lego blocks, so he's having fun right now. It was definitely nice to get some snuggles in, and then now I need to start finishing getting everything done in the kitchen. So I got that finally wrapped up, and now we're going to do egg, cheese, and onion and pepper mixture for this one. This one, I'm going to do everything in it. I'm going to do the eggs, cheese, the pork sausage, and the pepper and the onion mixture. It did turn out really tasty. I do love putting the onions and peppers in it. This is the last burrito wrap, and so I'm going to keep this one very simple and just do the eggs and cheese. I do have some of the other stuff left over, but I want to kind of keep some of them simple so my son will eat them with me for breakfast in the morning. Now I'm just labeling the Ziploc bag, gluten-free, and the date, and I'm going to put all the wraps in there and then just go ahead and put it into the freezer. They are nice and cooled. And all the mixtures that is left over, like the pork sausage and the onions and peppers, I won't let that go to waste. I'll actually have that tomorrow in the morning for breakfast with the breakfast casserole, so that way that doesn't go to waste. Our timer just went off for 35 minutes. We're going to go ahead and check how it looks. And we're going to remove the aluminum foil. Still very jiggly. So we're going to put it back in the oven with the foil off, and now we're going to bake it for 25 minutes. While the breakfast casserole is still in the oven baking, I want to go ahead and freeze these banana bars that I made the other day. They're gluten-free, they're really tasty, they're awesome in a bowl of milk, and you zap it and heat it up, and it's so tasty. It's literally like baked oatmeal. I'm really loving baked oatmeal lately because it's a lot easier than making a new bowl of oatmeal in the morning that takes about 6 minutes, where this is just super easy. So I'm taking parchment paper and I'm going to fold up each little individual bar into the parchment paper, and that way then I can go ahead and just put it into the freezer. Normally I like to do like the flash freeze, but these are really solid and firm, not like those gluten-free pumpkin pie baked oatmeal that I made. That one really needed to be flash freezed and put it into, until it was solid. But these here worked really great by just wrapping them up. It's been so nice and helpful having these ready in the morning before school. My kids have a lot of options right now. They have the pumpkin pie baked oatmeal. They have the cinnamon apple fig jam oatmeal bars. They have the banana bars now. And also now they're going to have the breakfast casserole too. So this is perfect. And what also is nice is they're all gluten-free. So I have options as well. So anyways, this is what I have left over. I'm just going to go ahead and put that in the refrigerator, and I can have that tomorrow in the morning with some breakfast casserole. So the casserole looks great. It's not jiggling anymore. It's perfect. It smells amazing. Definitely let it cool down before you cut into it. I mean, if you want it now, you can certainly cut into it, but it would be really hot. But I'm going to let mine cool down, so that way then I can cut them into squares and get them portioned out how I want them to be for breakfast. So we'll have it for breakfast the next day, and then whenever we don't finish, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up kind of like how I did the banana bars, and I'm going to freeze those as well. So those are also good for up to 3 months in the freezer. But again, this gives me so many options for breakfast in the morning before school. And when you're in those pinch of like, oh, I'm hungry, but I don't want to make a whole bunch of stuff, and I already have it made. So this is just so ideal. But look how nice it cuts. It cuts really nice. I definitely let it cool down for a while. I got some stuff done around the house, and then it just smelled good. It looked great. And I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and check it out. So it was perfect. The other nice thing about breakfast casseroles is you can go ahead and just prep it all and then just, put saran wrap on top of it, put it in your fridge. So if you want to bake it like a morning for breakfast, then you just pull it out of your refrigerator and bake it that morning for breakfast, and it'll be nice and warm. These are great for when you have a lot of people over in the morning visiting. It's so nice. But look how nice and thick this is. And this was using 12 eggs with it again. It was super delicious. Everyone did love it the next day that we had it for breakfast. It was a big hit. It's really nice and easy to have this. And I will make this again by, prepping it and then just putting it in the refrigerator and then baking it on the weekend one morning when, we have a lot of stuff and activities going on. This will just be so ideal. But it was so delicious. Everything turned out great. I cannot wait to have a breakfast burrito again. When I don't know what to have for breakfast, I can just pull it right out of the freezer and zap it and enjoy it. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Bye, guys.